What's up everybody? In today's video we're going to be taking a look at the Purelure Titanium T titanium tipped Extra Ultralight BFS rod. Let's do it. Alright, so excuse the noise, but we're going to kick off proceedings with a 1.5 gram tungsten chub weight and a Purelure grub worm, which is a pretty light worm, so you can catch a redfin perch. Alright, so let's take a look at the rod's action. What I like to do is hold the lure parallel to the rod, about 8 inches or so away from the rod. And hopefully you can see that action up the top there. It's the titanium tip definitely has a lot of bend to it. It's definitely, would you classify that almost as extra fast? It's pretty close to being extra fast. But even if we widen it up here, we've got our hands about 80 centimeters apart, you can still see that tip bends quite a lot in comparison to the rest of the rod. So yeah, that tip section really makes it extra fast. In terms of the rod's ergonomics, I can say it's pretty comfortable, and this is how I typically hold my reels. 2 fingers, got the middle finger on the trigger there, 2 fingers down here, and usually this finger here on the rod to try and, if I want to twitch, I use my index finger here to twitch the rod. But yeah, in terms of the ergonomics, nothing wrong with it. I really like this style of trigger. As I've said before in the unboxing video, it's very comfortable. The cork, it's not too short. It could be longer, but personally it doesn't really bother me. And the length of the butt, it's not too long, so when you're casting, it definitely doesn't get in the way. If the butt was like 2 inches longer, then it would definitely get in the way, I believe. But just with one-handed casting with this rod, it's quite comfortable, and yeah, big tick for the ergonomics. All right, let's see if we can cast at some snags and try and get a fish. That'll make this video a little bit more exciting. Just casted one right up in there. Got this log here. Now just come over it. I'll let it drop again. Just try and work it towards the bank a little. So I know these fish love the undercut banks here. And just hold my hand out and just spin the handle just to control the lure. One concern I had about the rod is the sensitivity level, because I'd never had a titanium tip rod before, so I wasn't too sure if that was going to hinder the sensitivity or enhance it. But I would say it's neither. I would say it's probably average in terms of sensitivity. I mean, it doesn't feel like the most sensitive rod I've tested before, but definitely not the worst. Just somewhere in the middle. Kind of, yeah, I guess 3 out of 5 if I was to give it a rating. Even though I've got a tungsten cheb on here, relatively small leader, braid obviously. I've got all this stuff on here for good sensitivity, so I can judge it pretty well. And yeah, I'd say the sensitivity is pretty average. So if sensitivity in bottom contact fishing is something that you really do a lot, and you want to find the perfect rod for that, I don't think it's the perfect rod for that particular kind of fishing. In terms of lightweight casting, I think this rod should really excel in that department, because I'm a real believer of fast action rods being better for those really tiny lures, just because you only need to load up the tip section. So instead of loading up the whole rod, which is very difficult to do with a light lure, only the tip section needs to load up. So it's yeah, it's makes it a lot easier. And I believe that's why you know, the Mavlos plume was popular for that type of thing. I know the Real Test, you know, that was his kind of go-to, and he didn't really have an explanation as to why that rod casted so well, but I think it's because of the fast action. You know, something like the Ace Hawk AG Venom, you know, what's that, 0.6 to 5 grams casting from memory, similar to this rod I suppose, but that's a very slow taper rod, the 5'6" model I'm talking about. So with that one, that's better for, you know, your swimming lures, and not necessarily good for, or will not, I'll take that back, I won't say not necessarily good, not necessarily optimal for those tiny presentations, because you just can't load the tip up quite as well to cast it as well. And that may mean that you need to have a bit of a different casting stroke, you know, to load up the tip as opposed to sort of load up the whole rod. You know, less of a wristy stroke and more of a straight arm kind of stroke. Yeah, just on that last cast when I was retrieving it over some rocks, and yeah, I could definitely feel the lure a lot better than what I had been in the previous, you know, 20 minutes or so of casting. So I think that's a sort of better test to test the sensitivity when you're fishing along the bottom. And I gotta say, it's definitely at least a 3 out of 5. Okay, so I've casted up to 6 grams on this rod on a previous trip. Absolutely no issues there. So the high end casting weight is absolutely fine. Casts quite well. Doesn't really seem to overload the tip, believe it or not, despite the tip being ridiculously bendy. But let's just you know, cast this, what is this, 2 and a bit gram setup. Got the High Star GRU. It's got 0.04 go braid on there, and it's, you know, fairly full. It's not fully optimized for light stuff because I usually don't throw it, but let's just do a cast and see what it's like. All right, see that landed out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Yeah, right around 30 revolutions of the handle, which is pretty typical for pretty much everything I test. You know, somewhere between 30 and 35 revolutions. So yeah, I'm not going to be casting a trout magnet, so sorry guys, but that's just not my style of fishing. But we'll do another cast, hopefully get one out there and you can see. Oh, that one went, there was user error there, went a little bit to the right, holding the camera with the other hands. I guess that shouldn't really matter, but might be in a hotter spot for a bite actually. Just trying to keep that lure sort of in the mid to lower part of the water column. Always like to split the water into thirds, you know, bottom third, middle third, top third. Typically I like to fish the bottom third. Depends what kind of species it is, but you know, most stuff I go for the bottom third, whether it's well, not for trout, but yeah, most saltwater species and perch and stuff like that, you know, mid or lower third of the water column. All right, we'll give it another crack. So you can just see the lure bouncing on the tip there. It's not ridiculous. We'll give it another cast. That wasn't the best one. Should rip into it a little bit more. Give it another go a little bit later. Did you see that? It was a little boof. Oh yeah, I just saw it. Let's try and catch it. It's super dinky, but better to catch something than nothing. That right there, that's a cockatoo doing a number 2. And you'll see that a lot on these, in this kind of part of Victoria. See if you can put one under here. Alright, so no joy there. Fished for about an hour and a half maybe. We're gonna hit another spot, see if we can catch fish. Otherwise, I'll catch you back in the studio with my final thoughts on the rod. Alright, so you might not believe this, but I just casted off that setup I just had. And I just whacked on a 1.5 gram jig head in a Polaris worm, and I think I actually snagged unintentionally the last setup. Let's see, I've snagged onto some line. Let's see. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on. I think it is. It looks like my braid. That is crazy. Oh yeah, come on. So this is going to have a orange supercontinent worm on it. That is crazy. Yep, that's it. Oh my god. What is the chances of that? Look at that. Oh my god. Yep, there we go. First fish on the titanium. Is it a reddy or is it a trout? It's a baby reddy. It's a baby reddy. Okay, so here are my final thoughts on the rod. I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 for sensitivity. It's okay. It's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. Maybe slightly better than average. The workmanship, 5 out of 5. Flawless, nothing wrong with it. Really like it. Components, it's got good components. The guides, the inserts, the blank material, very good. 4.5 out of 5. Value for money, it's pretty damn cheap right now. It's only around 125 Australian dollars. I think that's really good value for money. So I'm going to give that 4 out of 5. Ergonomics, you know, nothing is perfect for everyone really. I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. It's pretty damn good. And aesthetics, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. I'm not going to give it 5 out of 5 just because there's no kind of bling factor to it. So yeah, that's a pretty good score if you ask me. Anyway guys, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.